Hey y'all, it's me, Shea Butter Love, popping in on this beautiful day. I wanted to do a video for New Year's Eve, a video for just bringing the end of 2021 to a close. And where I wanted to leave off originally has taken a little bit of a detour. I wanted to do a couple of head wrap tutorials, but I want to jump back into mindfulness. We already have a few videos posted on that. If you have not saw those, backtrack and go to the older videos. But what I'm doing is a bunch of videos about mindfulness from different contexts. So this video today is going to be mindfulness in regards to parenting and children and relationships that involve elders, things of that nature. So let's start off. Let's get to it. First and foremost, thank you for following my page. Hello to my new followers. Hello to my old followers. And hello to my followers that will be coming in the near future. I want to say in advance, Happy New Year. We are bringing in 2022. And we want to bring that in with ease. We want to bring that in with peace. And we want to bring that in on a good note. So I decided to come outside today because we've been having rain here for the past, I want to say 4 days. And I looked outside. I said, well, it's cloudy. The clouds started to shift. And as you can see, we have a beautiful sunny day. It's a little breezy. So if you hear some wind in the background, I have my earpiece in. That's all that is. So mindfulness, the ability to focus on present moment energy, the ability to focus on what is happening in the now, the ability to zero in on the present moment. I originally wasn't going to talk about parenting much, but you know what? I'm an amazing parent. I have done a wonderful job with my children. I get a lot of feedback on how wonderful of children they are. I always have. I naturally gravitated toward being a mother. And I want to say that in all honesty, one of the things that have worked for me on this journey is being in the moment with them. From the beginning, being that I had moments I was able to stay home with them instead of focusing on, well, where would I rather be? And I wish I was doing this. I never had that mind state at all. I literally never felt like I was missing out on anything. I literally was always tied into that. I didn't feel anything about people babysitting and the grandparents not doing any of those things. I am just a natural mother. So I'd like to give some insight on this because it's a very easy area for me to dwell in. Being a mother is very easy for me. So what I want to say for this is one of the ways you can really, really become a better parent in 2022, really start to just focus a little bit more on your children, like building the relationship with them. Because obviously, as we know, as they grow, that will change. You do not want to lose them on their journey to getting older. You do not want to lose your place in their life and begin to feel like what's going on because you were so focused on everything else outside of the moment with them. I want to talk about some things that you can do to practice mindfulness with your parenting. That would be a very easy approach. Some things people won't even think about, like, really? So let's get to one thing you can do. First and foremost, one of the things that you can do to invite a stronger level of mindfulness into you and your children's relationship, your kids' life, is practice giving them hugs, intimacy, being affectionate with your children. This is something that you do have to slow down. I know a lot of parents, they be pushing their kids away and move and get off of me and I'm busy and things of that nature. And I want to tell you, you will regret that one day. So when your kids come to you and they seem like they need a little attention, especially in an affectionate manner, a hug or a kiss on the forehead or a kiss on the cheek, a pat on the back, scratching the scalp goes a long way. So that's something simple and straight to the point. But another thing that a lot of people don't really take into account is when it comes to mindfulness and parenting, mindfulness and having close relationships with your children, building relationships with their children, is playing board games. I know it's really old school, and I know a lot of kids like to play video games, and I know a lot of parents like to be on their phones playing their games or social media or whatever. But you will be surprised at how much you can find out about your children if you sit down and play a game of Uno, Monopoly, Life, Yahtzee, dominoes, teaching your kids how to play these games, the type of lessons that come along with teaching these games. I come from a family of card players, of gamers, so it's something that naturally we do with our kids. Of course, we can always do it more. And I recently had to say, hey, wait a minute, we're going to play this game tonight. And we had a great time. So I wanted to say it's a great moment to really just unplug your mind from everything outside of the moment, not focusing on work, significant others, drama, who said what online, because a lot of times a lot of people put all of their energy into all these other sources, and kids become a product of, did you eat? Did you sleep? Like real passive. And that's how you lose your relationship along the way. And it don't even have to always be a negative thing that brings that about. It's just literally you lost your way, So I wanted to say that. Another thing that a lot of people don't really chime into is the fact that your kids and you guys have an actual relationship. It's not a job, it's a relationship. It may feel like work at a lot of times, different phases, of course, when they're babies, when they're in elementary, checking homework, but that is a relationship. So some of the things that you guys do with your significant others, obviously we're not talking about anything of adult like, but I'm talking about communicating. I'm talking about going to the movies. I'm talking about recreational activities, hobbies. A lot of these things that you do with your friends and your significant others, you can literally do the same things with your kids. You know what I'm saying? So something simple is just going out to eat. A lot of times you guys don't take your kids out to restaurants, how to go out to eat. They don't know how to act in these places because they've never been. A lot of people have never taken a road trip or even traveled with their children. And then if they do, they're frustrated the whole time because their kids haven't been nowhere. They don't know how to act. So the earlier you begin to implement these things within the relationship dynamic, the better off your children will behave, for one. The better off you will know your children, for two. And the better off the relationship can be because you have established a connection and a bond that is beyond hierarchy of, let me tell you what to do and my orders and go do this, go do that. You have to have an actual relationship in order for there to be a great bond and a great foundation laid. And these are things that I also do with my children. I do believe in traveling with children. I have flown with my children as early as when they were in diapers. Still been potty trained and things of that nature. So I also want to say, excuse me, it's getting a little windy. I wanted to move that a little bit. So I also wanted to say another thing you guys might not take into account is lifestyle, like working out. That's something that anybody can do with their kids. Me and my son went hiking a few days ago. I want to say maybe 5 days ago before it started raining here. And I could immediately see the impact it was having on his energy, on his mood. It definitely gave him a little charge, and he was just like so elated, and he was so happy, and we did it alone. No, it's not always a group thing. No, your daddy can't always go. Sometimes it's important for us as parents to zero in on focusing on what we're doing, not always trying to have a group activity and all of that. So that's something you could do to implement a relationship, focusing on mindfulness when it comes to parenting and when it comes to children. Working out, going for walks, going places where you do not need to be engaged with electronics and technology all the time, because we already are so much. Doing even things like taking selfies with your kids if you are on your phone. That's something that, a child wants to be included in. I'm a person that loves to take pictures. I love to be in front of the camera, and I love to just be behind the camera in general, taking pictures of my surroundings. And sometimes I'll just snap them. But my boys are not as much as super photogenic and stuff like that. But sometimes I'm able to get them in there. So these are just a few tips. I'm not going to go on forever. But if you have some tips, I would love for you to drop them below and share with us what are some of the things that you do when it comes to parenting to practice mindfulness, meaning being in the present moment right then and there. Because as we've all been kids before. We've all been there, done that. We've all been teenagers before. Your kids, first 5 years are most important. Whatever foundation you build will determine, strongly have a strong influence on what the relationship will be like. Can that fluctuate and change? Of course. You could have the best relationship in adolescence and the worst in teenage years, but at least you have a starting point to go back to. The whole idea is to build, is to know your child. When you're in the state of mindfulness, it gives you the ability to see them in every stage and every moment and know them and know what they like without asking them. If you watch them, if you see them, you don't have to as much as ask as many questions, because the actions that you see will tell you as much as there needs to be. And when it comes to being a parent also, mindfulness can benefit a lot of people when it comes to tantrums, when it comes to children that act out and have, issues of throwing fits and just crying too much. When you come into the journey of motherhood and fatherhood, from jump, being attentive, you don't have to deal with these things as often, as much. My babies weren't cry babies because I didn't wait until they were super hungry to have to cry. I wasn't leaving them in diapers so they have to cry. And it's literally a form of communication, them trying to get your attention with, which I've noticed that sometimes when children are, I don't want to always use the word neglected, but we could say neglected or just not nurtured enough, not nurtured enough or paid enough attention to, sometimes they can be a bit of a crybaby or a whiner, so this wind is kicking out here. Y'all gotta excuse it. And remember, I told y'all we do raw footage. We're not doing no editing or none of that, so the show must continue. But take some time today, tomorrow, think about the message, think about where you can improve. For me, 2022, like I said, this is not super hard for me, but I'm not perfect. I will be implementing more one-on-one time with my boys. The years are flying, and I think that if you want to keep a close connection and relationship with your children, and you want to know them as humans, as people, you want to know their minds, not what you've put in their minds, but what they have in their own minds. That can come from spending quality time and being in the moment, shutting down, other things and focusing on them, because they deserve to have the nurturing, the attention, and the attentiveness that we give to our friends, significant others, to work. A lot of times, in parenting, a lot of people put their children last because it's like one of those things like, oh, by default, I have to be a parent. And everything else in the world gets priority. And hence, this is where the issues start to come into play, where, things can happen and be like, well, I didn't really know what was going on, or I didn't know this happened, because you wasn't paying attention. And sometimes you could see where a shift is taking place and you ignore it because you got other things you're focusing on. So this is not to bash anybody. This is not to say you ain't, doing your job. This is to say I can do a better job. This is to say we all can do better jobs with the children in our lives. And even if you don't have children that you have given birth to, I'm sure you have cousins, you have godchildren, you have nieces and nephews. Whoever the children you are around, just do a better job at giving them some time right there in the moment, at that very moment. And we can begin to rebuild our community a little bit stronger, and getting into their minds and planting more positive seeds and teaching them things, not just talking at them, talking with them and learning from them throughout the process as well. It's time to change the narrative, We pick up things from the elders. We take what we need to take, and some of those things we do not take because they no longer serve us, or they didn't work and they don't work. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of us can attest to, especially those of us that are 80s babies, 70s babies. While our parents did a wonderful job at providing and being stable for the most part. Of course, there was a few of us that didn't have that experience, but they did a wonderful job at that. But the emotional support and, the nurturing, sometimes that, took a left field. And even just really being in the moment and really getting to know your children as humans, not like on some I told you to do this, I told you to do that, and that's being all it is to it, because that's natural, so I hope that somebody got something from the message, and I hope that everybody is doing well, mentally and emotionally and psychologically. I hope that people are taking care of themselves, and if you can, get outside and get some sun today, get some air today. If you have some things you want to contribute, go ahead and drop them below on ways that we can be mindful when it comes to being parents. And I want to also add this one last thing that my youngest son actually enjoys. My oldest son, he's not really much into it with me, but he kind of does his own thing. But cooking is a good way to be mindful with your children, because you have to pay attention in the moment. So teaching your kids how to cook step by step in the kitchen with you, just allowing yourself to be vulnerable with your kids and allowing yourself to be an adult, and being okay with the job that you've been given, that is literally a gift, so just looking at it from a different perspective can change your experience. Like I said, I love being a mother. I don't really get irritated by being around my kids. I watched a lot of people with their children over the years, and a lot of people don't even really like being parents. They just be having kids. Oh, I have them, so I got to do this and that. But when it comes to just the basic exchange of energy and the dynamic of a relationship, a lot of people do not like having children because they are so consumed with what they're missing out on, who's not doing what, and why they don't have a babysitter. It's do shit with your kids that you can take your kids to. I had my children young. I never felt like I was missing out on anything. Even when I couldn't do certain things because somebody was sick, it was I don't understand that emotion, and I sympathize with people that do. And I wish you guys not to feel like that anymore. And I hope that if you are a person that feels that way, I hope that you grow out of that. And really, channel and get to a place where you wonder within yourself, where does that come from? Why is it that, you can't connect in the moment with your child, beyond discipline and order and, rules and regulations? Why is it that you cannot have a natural relationship? Why is it that you don't like to play games with your kids or just talk to your kids or just watch them, So I hope this video helps someone. I'm going to be talking about, I was going to talk about mindfulness when it came to elders, but you know what, I'm gonna do that in another video because I have a lot to say about that, and I like my videos to be free-flowing, unedited. I do not want to go back and have to chime anything in and squeeze this in. I like my videos to be completely raw and uncut. I feel like it's most natural. There are no bloopers. They're just life. There are no mistakes. They're just life. Whatever's got caught on film got caught on film. And I will do the next mindfulness video. We're going to talk about relationships with elders, grandparents, aunties, uncles, the people that are getting to a higher transition. We'll talk about that next time. But for this time, set some goals when it comes to not just finances, not just health, not just, you. Set some goals when it comes to parenting, when it comes to your job as a parent. What do you want to do? What do you want to give to your child for 2022? Not a thing, not an earthly possession. What is it that you want to give to them within the relationship? Let's start with mindfulness. And if you start with mindfulness, you can go and you can think of so many things. Maybe it's I want to do sleepovers more with my kid, or I want to take my kids to play with their friends more, or I want to watch a movie once a week with my child. You know, maybe your kid is a movie kid. So let's all do better, be better. Let's all be inspired. Let's all be inspirations for other people. We all have something we're good at. Let's pass on that knowledge so that we can begin to rebuild our community. Words of wisdom, words of encouragement, and free game. Shea butter love, y'all. Peace.